Welcome back to the Stadium of Light. We're delighted to tell you that it's finished Sunderland 1, Bolton Wanderers 0 in an interesting game, a very hard-fought win for Sunderland, Bob.
Well, I've maintained my 100% record, but I didn't know if I was going to be able to do so, because at the beginning of the game we were talking about it being a game full of goals, a game that we thought would be fluent and would be open, and in fact it was a game that had a very limited amount of space for either team. Both teams largely cancelled out each other.
Yep.
It was a game of few chances. Sporadically there was passages of really good fluent football from both teams, but ultimately Sunderland got the result. And in any promotion campaign, and that's what we're hoping this is going to be, it's all about the result, and a 1-0 win against a possible promotion contender has to go down as a very satisfactory afternoon in terms of the results. Let's
roll the highlights then, Rob, and we can discuss all of those talking points from today's game. And as you say, you know, it was incidents like this which happened probably more frequently than goal opportunities.
Very early on there, heavy touch from Joel Dixon on his return to the Stadium of Light, and Pritchard almost sneaked it in and could have given us a flying start. And that was Bolton's probably best opportunity in the first half. Gethin Jones's cross that Josh Sheehan just came in and couldn't reach on the far post. This was the goal, a well-worked goal, out of keeping with the game as a whole. It was a really fluent move, and Carl Winchester in there again, as he's been so often this season. 3 goals he's got now, which is tremendous from right back in the first few games of the season. And the other full-back, Dennis Serkin, heavily involved in it in the build-up down the left. And Winchester's come in there, found the space, and applies the finishing touch. So, good goal to win the game.
Absolutely, and this is more opportunities in that first half.
Yeah,
McGeady going close there.
Yeah, that was possibly Sunderland's best chance the first half, other than the goal. Particularly as it was Aidan McGeady coming in, just couldn't quite get the touch
will be
he
thinking
wanted.
about that one tonight, won't he?
Absolutely, he did well to get across his man. He got the touch, but it was well wide. And this one comes to Ross Stewart after a good run from Dan Neil, but he tries to place it, doesn't get the power, doesn't get the precision. And it's a routine save for Joel Dixon. Yeah, and again that was good defensive cover. It was George Johnson who came in there to cover.
Some more opportunities here. It's Pritchard who comes close on that occasion. Good save from the keeper.
As you said, it was possibly just slightly behind him, but it was a well-timed run, and the keeper had spread himself well. This was Winchester again, being an attacking threat, drills that across the box. He's looking for somebody to come in. There's 3 or 4 red and white shirts, but nobody's running to the 6-yard box to get the touch.
Now what about this for a save?
Yeah, it looks spectacular. It's one for the cameras. It's good, but he would be very disappointed if he let it in. But it's a good save. I'm not taking anything away from him. It's a good save.
More opportunities here for Bolton, and Afolayan was a real thorn in the side.
Doyle there just couldn't quite stretch. He could have had a very easy header in at the far post, but he wasn't far enough ahead there. Yeah, that was Johnson coming in on the far post, the centre half, left-sided centre half for Bolton.
Carl Winchester involved in this effort as well. Bit of a shot from him unashamedly, and Ross Stewart firing from outside the area.
Doing what they did well all afternoon, which was to get bodies in the way.
What do you think about Diaku this afternoon? He was involved once he came on, wasn't he?
He shows a lot of promise. I think, you know, there was a couple of opportunities where he had chances to shoot. One in particular when he tried to beat his man a second time instead of shooting.
Which I think we'll see soon.
Yeah.
And the Doyle's going together there, and our Doyle coming out on top.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is Diaku. This is the opportunity you were speaking about.
He beats his man well. He's done all the hard work.
Do you think that he should have shot with his left foot when he beats his first man?
I think so. He wanted to, even if he'd beaten his man there and not being blocked off, he was narrowing his own angle.
Dan Neil working hard right until that final whistle, which eventually came after 8 minutes of added time.
Yeah, it was the chance there for Diaku again after good work from Neil. And unfortunately, he pulled the trigger that time but blazed over. But the important thing was the final score was 1-0, and we've added 3 points to the tally and maintained that 100% home record, Frankie.
A couple of things I want to discuss before we do the hashtag AskDanny's and look at the other scores as well. Was the clean sheet this afternoon almost as big as the win?
Well, I think in some respects, let's not be stupid here. If we'd won, say, 3-1, it would have been better from the point of view of the goals difference. But possibly better to win 1-0 than 3-2, because we've seen this season the attacking side of our game's been very, very good overall. Sometimes the defensive side's not been as good as you wanted. We can see that simply because you measure it in how few clean sheets we've had.
And for large periods of the game today, there was some real good defending there. And that's what Lee Johnson will be saying in his post-match, won't he?
That was a hard-won clean sheet. And bear in mind, 2 of your back 4 have gone off injured.
Yeah.
It's an even more well-deserved clean sheet. And I'm sure that'll be one of the positives that the manager will be picking out of that game. And although we saw that spectacular save from Hoffman, he hasn't really been stretched. He hasn't had to produce any wonder saves. He produced 1 or 2 wonder saves last weekend at Fleetwood. He's not been overexerted, and that's down to the defenders who've, been very, very quick to get blocks in, and also to close down space and reduce Bolton's attacking opportunities.
Okay, then we'll look at the latest scores now, then,
okay.
Rob, from in and around EFL League One. This is the scores. I'll read them out, and then we can discuss a few if you like. But these are the confirmed scores from in and around League One. This is Burton 1, Lincoln 2, Cambridge 2, Fleetwood 2, Charlton 2, Portsmouth 2, Ipswich 1, Sheffield Wednesday 1, MK Dons 1, Wickham 0, Morecambe 3, Accrington 3, Oxford 1, Gillingham 1, Plymouth 2, Doncaster 1, Rotherham 1, Crewe 1, Shrewsbury 2, AFC Wimbledon 1, and Wigan 2-0 winners against Cheltenham, who Sunderland will face on Tuesday evening. Initial reactions, a lot of draws there.
Absolutely. I think a lot of people will firstly be drawn to the Wigan score, and Wigan have won. That's okay. I think what's more important is the chase and pack. There's a lot of teams there who are promotion contenders who've had draws in some cases against each other. And I think when we'll see the league table, what matters most is the gap, not the gap between first and second. We'll still be second to Wigan, who'll have another goal advantage in terms of the goal difference.
Let's bring it up on screen, Rob, so you can have a look.
There'll be 3 better than us now rather than 2. But the gap between second and third, the automatic places to the chasing places, we see it's only 1 point, but you'll also see there we've played a game fewer. Both Sunderland and Wigan have played a game fewer than the 2 teams, MK Dons and Plymouth, who are chasing. And Plymouth are coming up well. They're impressing people this season. I don't think too many people expect to see Plymouth fall top after 4 games, but that's looking nice and healthy.
Yeah, it is. And Danny always says, as a player, they never really looked at the table seriously until 10 games in. But the way Sunderland have started, and because we've been down in this league for so long, you can't help but look at the league table.
Well, also, over the course of the 46 games, you're looking at trying to pick up 2 points per game. That's your tariff. If you get 92 points, you're going to be unlucky not to have an automatic promotion place most seasons, if not every season. And at the moment, Sunderland are 3 points ahead of what would be your target of 2 points per game. But as you say, it's still very, very early days. Just because you have a good start does not mean you're going to get promoted. We've seen in the last 2 seasons, Ipswich have had very good starts and then been nowhere near when things came. So you can't get carried away and think, oh, we've had a great start. This is fantastic. But nonetheless, at the beginning of the season, when we kicked off against Wigan Athletic, if you'd said that after 8 games we'd have 19 points, we'd have a 100% home record, we'd have beaten several of the teams who were expected to be up and around us.
I think that gets overlooked. The start we've had.
Of the draw, we were very unlucky to draw with that 7 minutes into injury time equaliser last week.
Yep.
And I, for one, still can't believe we lost the 1 game we did lose at Burton, because that's probably about as well as we've played. But that's football, isn't it?
It is football. Would you be able to pull out a man of the match for Sunderland this afternoon?
It's a good question. Until he went off, I might have been going for Dennis Serkin, but obviously, he missed the crucial last sort of 20 minutes. I think it was more of a team performance, really, in terms of man of the match. I think if you pushed me for one, I would probably say Tom Flanagan. He came back in after his suspension. He slotted straight back in. I think I don't remember an occasion when he didn't win his challenge. Yeah. He was tight doing his defenders.
had to come inside quite a lot.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Couldn't get around him. Couldn't get past him.
He was very effective. Didn't do anything in the game that makes you stand out and say that's a moment for your highlights reel, particularly. But over the 90 minutes, he was really strong. He was really solid. And bearing in mind, as I've said, 2 of his back 4 members went off with injury. He held that back line together very, very well and protected his goalkeeper very well. And he'll be delighted with a clean sheet. And you were asking me during commentary about whether Ross Stewart might be pushing for a place in the Scotland lineup. Well, Tom Flanagan's been getting picked for the Irish squads, but hasn't been in the team really unless it's a friendly. I certainly think Tom Flanagan should be really pushing for a place in the Northern Ireland starting lineup.
Touch upon the Scottish connection. I do believe the Scottish branch are behind you, Rob, on the pitch, getting some photos of the flags, obviously down from up north this afternoon, and good to see all the different branches here inside
Absolutely.
the stadium. Of course, we're on international television here, and we want to hear from you guys with the hashtag Ask Danny. I wonder if we can go into the first one of those, and we can discuss anything that you wanted to discuss from today's game. Here comes the first one from Stevie, who says, good result again today. But do you think LJ is a bit too defensive with his substitutions when we should really be killing games off, considering the amount of attacking talent we have at our disposal? I think we saw the introduction of Diaku certainly would go against that theory.
Yeah, well, firstly, thank you to Stevie for his question. It's a question a lot of people are asking at the moment, and I've heard a lot of people talking about this. But as you've already made the point, Diaku coming on was, and you made the point during commentary, Frankie, was really designed to try and get Sunderland up the pitch. And Diaku, as we've just pointed out, did have two very good chances, one of which he chose not to shoot. He tried to work an even better position, one of which he fired just over the bar. Perhaps if one of those goes in, everybody says, what a good attacking substitution.
Yeah.
I thought when Bailey Wright was lined up to come on, I thought he was going to go for the back three, as we've seen happen so often.
Yeah.
But it was a straight swap with Doyle coming off rather than a change of shape. So a lot of people do want to see us attack. But there's two sides to the game. And part of the game is defending, and a clean sheet was very, very important. I think overall this season we have seen Sunderland being good in an attacking sense. As I say, there was an attacking substitution with Diaku there, but I take Stevie's point.
Yeah, there was a couple of forced substitutions there as well, as you've touched upon. There's Erkin going off, which we suspect might be a concussion issue, because that's why Sunderland were able to then make their fourth substitution deep inside the game as well. Unused substitutions, Frederick Alves and Nathan Broadhead, so there was still options at the front and back, and maybe Lee Johnson might have done something different if he wasn't forced into those.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's got, as you say, a couple of subs there that didn't get on, outfield subs that didn't get on, as well as the goalkeeper Lee Burge. One was a centre half, one was a striker. So you know, if you could look at it both ways and say, you know, we've got strength in depth. He brought on the substitutions that he did, including that fourth substitution because of the concussion.
And in the end, they all did the job.
They did do the job. They got the result 1-0, and give me a 1-0 any time over a 3-3. Bolton have had a couple of 3-3s this afternoon. This game never looked like
including
being
ourselves
one.
having a 3-3 against Bolton here a couple of seasons ago. We all know what happened after
never
that
looked
game.
never looked like being a 3-3 in this game after the first few minutes, with it being the sort of stop-start nature it was.
Yeah,
but the effective thing was that, as you've just looked at that league table, Sunderland have got 3 more points than they had this morning, and that's job done.
Keep chugging along. Okay, let's move on to the next hashtag Ask Danny then, please. This one's from our American branch, the NASA lot over there. Hello to Rob from all at SAFC NASA. Rob was kind enough to join us across the USA and Canada for a virtual social last season. How did that go?
Yeah, well, it was great because it was a tremendous opportunity for me to meet the people from the NASA branch right the way across North America, both the US and Canada. When I spoke with them, I had a good couple of hours one Sunday evening. I think it was quite late here and sort of early evening in North America. And what struck me was, firstly, how passionate they all were. Secondly, how knowledgeable they all were. And as we all know, as you've just said, Sunderland have got supporters all around the world, and they're a particularly active and well thought of branch. So great to hear from them.
It's massively appreciated as well, isn't it, from everyone here at the football club. Thank you for watching this afternoon, wherever you are. We still have a couple more. Hashtag Ask Danny's in his absence. Hashtag Ask Rob should be. Right, this one. Red and White Haddock. Ask this one. Brilliant result. Hard won. Do you think we need to work together to pick up the atmosphere at the Stadium of Light in hard games like this? The team needed us, and we needed the team syndrome. But I'm not quite sure what that means. But I'm questioning about the atmosphere, which I think was hard there to get the atmosphere in a game like this, wasn't it?
In a game, there was a point around about 55, 60 minutes or so when I pointed out that out of nothing, because there was nothing going on at the game at that stage, that the crowd were really trying to lift the team and trying to get going.
It was hard for us at times in commentary because there was almost nothing happening, but at the same time, it was poised to, at any moment it could have gone either way.
It's like that in games which is stop-start in nature. I mean, you asked me about the man of the match. I mean, the two trainers might have been contenders. They were on that often and for so long. You know, it was one of those games. And then early on, particularly, you know, the flag was going up pretty regularly. The whistle was not just going, but the referee a couple of times wanted to stop a quick restart to play, and it all contributed towards there being a lack of momentum, a lack of fluency in the game. And when games are like that, it's hard to get the crowd really up for it.
They did the best, though, didn't they?
But the crowd did try to lift the team out of nothing, as they often do. They did stay with the team. They did roll the team home. It was a really good reception at the beginning for both recognising Grant Ledbetter and the sad passing of Len Ashurst.
Yep.
And the fans have gone home happy. They won't be filling the bars and clubs now and talking about what a great game they've seen, because it wasn't a great game. Nobody's going to dress it up as a great game. But if we have another few games like that and another few 1-0s, that is the backbone of any promotion season. Give me 1-0s. Yes, you want to come to a game every now and see a 4-1 or a 5-0 or something. You know, before the game we showed highlights of a 4-0 against Bolton when Darren Bent scored a hat-trick in 2010. But the last time Bolton were here, it was a dull 0-0.
It was.
You know, this was much better. It was a 1-0. It was a good goal, out of keeping with the game, but it was a good goal. And I thought the atmosphere, considering the game, was fine. You'd never hear me criticising Sunderland supporters.
And a fantastic gate as well.
And I don't, just to add, I don't for a moment think this questioner is criticising Sunderland supporters there. I take the point that they're trying. You know, we could always want it a bit better, but let's face facts. It was the kind of game where it's difficult to whip up much of an atmosphere and sustain it for long. Yeah,
very good in the end, though, and as you say, all waiting at the end to cheer that team off. And that's something you only see in successful seasons, isn't it? People waiting to that final whistle to applaud the players coming off and the players doing a sort of like lap as well.
By and large, yeah. I've seen occasions when the team have been very unsuccessful and the team have and they've waited. I mean, I remember when we got relegated with 15 points, and 3 of those points were the last home game against Fulham. And the team just weren't good enough.
Yeah.
But they were all applauded off pretty much every game because they busted gut.
Yep.
And they tried their best, and people recognise that.
And that's obviously what they did this afternoon.
Obviously, people want to see a successful team.
Yes.
But as long as I think you see 11 players out there giving their 100%, supporters will stick with them. Quite rightly, where supporters won't stick with them is when they perceive that the players are not giving it 100%.
Yes, well said, Rob. Okay, then let's move on to the next one, please. I think this is from Reese, who says, can you name 5 players that have played for both Bolton and Sunderland this century? That's definitely a question for Rob Mason.
Well, this century. Well, the first one that comes to mind, of course, is Remy Matthews.
Yes.
Who, as a goalkeeper for Bolton Wanderers, was actually in goal for Bolton on that 0-0 last time they were here. Marcus Alonso, who I didn't see the Chelsea versus Manchester City game today, but I imagine Marcus was probably playing. He's played there a lot. Obviously, the question is asked me about games for this century. Yes. With my mind, I tend to come to people from ages ago.
I will let you off. Come on. 3 others, famous ones.
I'll come to other players that have played in a minute, but one that comes to my mind, partly because I spoke to him yesterday, was Peter Reid.
Oh, yes.
Who obviously has been absolutely tremendous. But other more recent ones, Daryl Murphy, who I think was in the Bolton side. In fact, I'm sure he was in the Bolton side last time they were here. Jason McAteer, Alan Stubbs. Nicky Summerby and Alan Johnson played for Sunderland, obviously at the end of last century and early on, and then very early this century they both had spells as Bolton Wanderers, so that's probably 5 or 6.
He wins. He did it. Right, well done, Robbie. Passed the test. Next one, final one here on hashtag Ask Danny / Ask Rob Mason. This one's from John, who says, great result today and hard-working performance. Certainly agree there. Seems like this side has it a bit of everything. Steel, pace, and fluid attacking intent. Do you think games like this prove we can mix it up?
Well, yes, John, I think it's a good question. I think, yes, you've summed it up nicely. The team, it's great to have pace and fluid attacking intent, but you do need a bit of steel as well. I think we saw the steel a little bit this afternoon. You know, we were under a little bit of pressure. Bolton had a lot of the ball. We said before the game they had the second highest possession stats so far this season in League One. We saw they were comfortable on the ball, and they did try to probe quite patiently at Sunderland all afternoon. But we kept our concentration. I think the thing the manager will be happiest with is the fact that we did keep our concentration throughout. We weren't cut open at all by Bolton Wanderers, and we showed that steel to go with the attacking intent.
Yeah, and I definitely think that as well. Lee Johnson will be speaking about that in the post-game programme, which you can see on the official club channels, normally on Twitter first and then goes to scfc.com. This programme as well, I don't know if you know this, Rob, but then gets uploaded to YouTube, and you can watch it as a post-game programme, free for all, even the UK viewers or fans as well. Okay then, I do believe that's it for us for this afternoon. We are back here at the Stadium Light. Checks notes, Tuesday evening, 7:45 kickoff against Cheltenham Town. Another opportunity for Sunderland to continue their progress and push for promotion. Before we say goodbye, though, there's a couple of books on the table, and I know Rob has been working really hard to complete these books, and they're coming out really soon, aren't they? In fact, one of them's just come out, I think.
I'll just very quickly mention these. We're talking about Sunderland hopefully in a promotion season. This one, promotion winning Black Cats, it's just out. It's out now. I've interviewed one player from every promotion season, including a certain Danny Collins, who talks us through the last one in 2007. And this one, which is out in about a week's time, Kit Kats.
Explain this, because this is a really good
book.
book.
I've written this with my friend Andrew Smithson, who's a real sort of kits enthusiast. And we've looked really most of the books I do look at very old history. This is a modern history largely. It's looking at the Stadium of Light era. Every kit that we've had, home kits, away kits, goalkeepers kits is featured. Plus we've featured many kits from through the years, but it's mainly the Stadium of Light era. And we've also got a chapter that we think people will find really interesting, which looks at rare kits, the ones that we've only ever worn maybe in one game, including one we won at Wembley. We actually wore that one twice. This was the 1988 game against Wigan Athletic, and also games when we've worn the other team's shirts because there's been a colour clash, or indeed other teams have worn our away kits because they've come to Sunderland and had a colour clash. So I hope people will find that interesting.
It's all in there, Kit Kats. Just one of Rob Mason's new books, and of course you can find them all through the club shop.
Correct,
I imagine?
yes, club shop, which of course, SFC.com, and of course the club shop, as we know,
it's open today.
Actually open.
It's open today, and it will be the day before and on the match days as well. And of course, full details of everything like that, SFC.com, including all the post-game interviews, chat and reaction. We're back on Tuesday evening, 7:45 kickoff means that we're on air from around 7:15 here on SFC Live. Hopefully with Danny Collins, but that doesn't mean to say that I haven't enjoyed your company this afternoon, Rob. Thank you very much.
Thank you indeed, and let's hope Danny comes along and sees Sunderland continue their excellent home record so far.
Thanks, Rob, for your time this afternoon. We'll see you on Tuesday evening as Sunderland continue to push for promotion this season. Thank you for watching.